Welcome to Salvage, a podcast for conversations with artists about the repurposed materials they use in their art practice. Please enjoy my conversation with Pauline Galiana. Pauline engages simultaneously with a wide range of artistic practices, including collages, paintings, drawings, ephemeral installations, small-scale sculptures, performances, and videos. Her work incorporates both noble and mundane materials. Regardless of the medium or method, the source materials are typically deconstructed, reconstructed, and hybridized. Pauline wastes nothing. Well, thank you so much, Pauline, for agreeing to chat with me. I can't wait to ask you all the questions.
Thank you for inviting me to this podcast.
Of course, of course. So I'm assuming you're in your home studio.
That's right.
Yeah. And you also have a studio outside the home?
Yes, I do have a very small space uptown Manhattan. It's kind of a storage room, which I transform into a studio. It's in the commercial floor of a apartment building, which used to be a theater
Oh,
and
cool.
hotel with two amphitheaters at the bottom. So the floor where I am at was the cafeteria.
Oh, wow.
So they divided it into individual boxes, can say so, for storage.
Mm-hmm.
And some people use it as offices or studios. So
Oh, wow.
no
Oh,
windows.
no windows. Oh, that's awful. Sorry. I love windows.
Yeah, me too. So the daylight is it's a challenge there. So I do different tasks over there than at home.
Right, right. Are there artists in the building as well?
There are artists in the building, but not that many, and they have like private homes, and they work in their apartment or things like that. It's not a community of artists.
Oh, okay. I see. Gotcha. Oh, interesting. It's always fascinating to me where people have their studios. I had a studio only in my home for about 20 years. So only until about 2.5 years ago, I was in my home, which was fabulous in a way.
Yeah, it's nice to be able to work at home, and when you know something to do, it's right here. And but also it's hard to make the work a priority. I don't know what we call that. There's always something else to do, or pay the bills and clean up the kitchen or whatever.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. So, so let me start by asking whether you were an artist as a kid.
I think I was. Definitely. I didn't know I was. But that was my that was my way of being. That was my way of seeing the world, because I would always collect things and transform them and draw, and I had at school I was better at drawing than everybody else, so and was not very good at sport at the time. I was part of teams or stuff, so they would give me the artistic side of the strategize and find ideas. So I think I was an artist to start with.
That's awesome. Where did you grow up?
Different places. I grew up, I was born in Algeria, North Africa, and during the War of Independence. So my father moved the family to Switzerland because he had a job there. He was still in the army because that was a very long service at the time. So he sent us, my mother and my brothers, to the surroundings of Geneva because I was going to work at the CERN, which is the nuclear center, European Nuclear Center.
Oh, interesting.
The large accelerator I don't know how to pronounce that name in English. Cern,
I don't know
C-R-N.
either. It's okay.
So then from there, we moved different places, either in Switzerland itself or in France.
Mm.
And I was always between borders. But I went to school in France every day. We would cross the border.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Cross from Switzerland into France. Oh,
Yes.
that's so fascinating.
Yeah,
Did
it was a thing. It became when kids do whatever they live through during their life, they play that. So my best friend would play customs. We had our scooters, and we had only one scooter that we would share, and we'd take turn about who is going to go through and the other one would be the police officer, the custom officer. It was awesome. It was really
yeah,
awesome.
that's so cool. So was it like a reciprocal system between Switzerland and France for schooling, or you could just
No, not at
want it?
all.
Huh.
I wish I went to school. At that time, I lived in Switzerland and I went to school in France. I wish um, I went to school in Switzerland.
Huh. And
They
why
were
didn't
much
you?
more advanced
Oh,
in terms of the program,
oh, I see.
the teaching program at the time. So I don't know about now, but it was there where I found some of my basic ideas about recycling
Mm,
and um,
really?
about the environment,
Mm,
um, about being a citizenship, not
mm,
as nationality and duties, but be part of an environment
mhm.
and be responsible for your own mess, basically. And that
Mm.
they are very strict with that. They
Yeah,
still are.
yeah, yeah. Wow, that's fascinating. And did you go on to like college or university and do an art degree?
Yes. So then I moved to the suburb of Paris, and I went to an art school in Paris.
Mm,
And I chose to become a designer, graphic designer,
mhm,
because I really wanted to have a job first. So I applied to some of the fine art schools, and I didn't really put a lot of energy into it. I knew I went to a school which was like a fast track, it was a very good reputation. I'm sorry, it's called the ESAG, ESAG,
mhm.
and École Supérieure d'Art Graphique. And I did that, and I was very happy, and I found work, and I worked in the cultural world.
Mm,
I didn't work really for products
mhm.
or advertising. I did mostly institutional work, like logotypes,
Oh,
magazines, books for museums, exhibition design, all
oh,
this stuff.
oh, that's fascinating. Wow. Huh.
Yeah.
And were you making your art right alongside of that, or were you strictly focused on graphic design at that point?
Um, no, I didn't really make. Yes, I did, and I didn't. It was very intense. The training was very intense. There's no free time. And when I started to work, I did some things, but again, like as a kid, I was not aware
Mm,
that was art.
mm,
So for example, I started to collect because I think art is first, it starts for visual artists. It starts in the eye, what you observe, what you see. And so I started to collect, not because I went out to collect, but the fruit stickers. They
mhm.
were everywhere, and it's everybody finds them annoying, right? It's like if to peel it off and it doesn't come off easily, things like that. And I'm like, this is weird that every banana has to have one sticker, even if it's like on one, bunch. And so I started to collect them in a way I would just put them directly on the tiles of in my kitchen,
Oh, okay.
and I started to do compositions like that.
Hmm.
And I really liked them. And the day I had to move out, I had to scrape everything off, which was incredibly annoying. So I decided to keep doing that, but on food wrap to
Oh,
keep
on the
it
plastic food wrap?
to keep it.
Oh,
I would put that on my refrigerator,
uh-huh.
tape it, and then I would put my stickers on the food wrap taped on my refrigerator. And I started to do little visual poems like that because I could do things every day that
Yeah.
way. I was not taking myself seriously, really.
Oh, no, I think it sounds like a game.
It was a game, and
Yeah.
then some friends and family started to collect stickers for me. My daughter would do, we would do sticker exchange. Um, it was no, it was fun. It was
Mhm.
fun.
And that was the beginning of your kitchen art series, I suppose, then.
That's it. Yeah. Then I extended it to different materials, to mylar, plexiglass, glass,
Uh-huh.
in different sizes. So I experimented with that. Yeah.
Yeah, I love the paint. You have these painterly compositions, and then you zero in on them and you see that those are fruit stickers. That was I didn't when I was just I sort of I guess I did a couple of passes through your website, and the first pass was just kind of like glancing at everything, and I remember posing pausing, I can't speak, pausing at that.
You're
um
speaking French. I learned a French
I wish
accent.
I could, but no.
Pausing, posing, pausing. I don't know.
Um, but I remember looking at them, and I only at a second glance realized what they were. And a friend of mine and I, a couple of years ago, maybe it was probably more than a couple of years ago. I remember we were both collecting them. She was collecting them, and she wasn't sure what kind of project she was going to do with them. And then I was like, "Oh, I can collect them for you. You know, we have a lot of fruit in the house." So I was sticking them on to these little um fabric squares that I
Mhm.
happen at excess fabric. I was just sticking them on randomly. Sometimes I would put on a pattern, sometimes it was random. I have to ask her if she ever did anything with those stickers.
I would
But
be interested to see what I mean. Um, for those you said Pentelly, yes, it's like the palette is right here. You have a red sticker, a blue sticker, whatever. But what is most striking to me was the message on the sticker.
oh,
And some had very interesting words and names. So I decided to, for every composition I was doing, I would pick a sticker with a name and create a visual story around that name. That's why I
huh.
call them visual poems. I've made a big one in the shape of a heart, and I mean, it's big. It's at least 30 by 30 inches.
That's pretty big.
And it was, so it's in the shape of a heart because the main sticker was Mon chéri, my dear. So, and everything in there is related to love or family or something like that. And I made up a story between two characters who come in stickers, and they got married, and they didn't have children right away, but they had a farm, and they grew tomatoes, and they had frogs everywhere in the farm, and you see that in the stickers.
Oh, I
Um,
love that. Yeah, see, it's funny that you noticed the words of the stickers. I just noticed the color and the barcodes, the
yes,
numbers. That's what I notice most in those stickers. So that's how we're all so different and notice different
you
things.
might start to look at them differently now.
Oh, I think I will. Yes. I think I may have to start collecting them again.
Yeah, especially I think there was the banana Chiquita. They did a
Yeah.
series with somewhere called Brain Fuel.
Mm.
They would put the qualities of what's in the banana,
Oh,
and that was interesting.
yeah.
And then they stopped doing that. So
That's funny. So, okay, I have to ask a technical question from the start. How do you attach those stickers? Because some of them, they're still sticky when you peel off, but others are not. So how do you attach them to your
uh,
substrate?
first of all, that's why I use the plastic
Oh,
because that's the best. It really attaches quickly.
Uh-huh.
on it. And but it's not very flat.
Mm-hmm.
So it's wrinkles around, and I really like that. Not everybody does, but I really like that. So I stick them very spontaneously. Like that, I can remove them. Sometimes I remove or add or I go behind, and because I just not want them flat like that. I want to create a texture.
Okay.
So I don't glue them too hard. When I'm finished, I decide, okay, this is it. I go back and let it sit for a while, and somehow over time, some will peel off.
Mm-hmm.
That's when I go back and I take a little piece of paper, I don't know, cardboard, whatever, and I put some glue on the tip and I go underneath and I
Oh.
add glue and
Mm-hmm.
I press and I keep doing that. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I miss a couple. It happened that the framer called me, hey, one fell off.
Oh no.
Like, oh, stick it wherever you want, you know. But it's the material. It's not precious.
Yeah, no, it's
Uh,
not. Yeah.
it's the spontaneity of the composition, and it's a testimony of what we see every day. I
Yeah,
mean, it's right in our face all the time.
right. Yeah. No, it's funny. It is in our faces and well, it's like plastic pollution.
Yeah,
Sorry to bring it right to the to the core of the whole thing, but you walk around and it's everywhere and most people just don't notice it because it's just so ubiquitous. Just that's how the stickers are as well.
exactly. And like people do, because I'm for living, I'm also a space organizer. So I deal with a lot of containers, plastic containers and stuff like that. And I see people have those and they leave the stickers on it, the price tag on it. And I'm like, it's visually so,
Yes.
disturbing. And I remove them for them. You don't
Uh,
see it. They
yeah,
don't
they
see
don't see it. No. No,
So
it's funny
I
because
find that very interesting.
it is interesting. I had a former career as a wardrobe supervisor. So I am still now forever walking around and if I know the person, I tag their tugs,
Yeah,
I can't speak, their tags in on the back of the shirt. I
right.
used to, when I worked, I was removing them all,
Yeah,
because it's so visually disturbing to see it sticking around. And sometimes I'm so tempted and sticking it in on a stranger. I mostly
right. I
rain.
know. I have that same problem sometimes, and I have to like, okay, I cannot change the world.
But you're right. It's like it's so visual. That's funny. So the text on the stickers, I guess that leads me to a really easy follow-up. You have a whole series where you alter books with text. How did that come about?
Well, that's the Faulkner series books. I did collage. That was for the New York Public Library. There was a show in the windows, and they asked to have the artist to do something related to the library.
Hmm.
So I picked an author, which for a foreigner like Faulkner, for me was very interested,
Hmm.
very interesting. Sorry, I was interested in because I couldn't understand a word. I didn't speak English when I came in this country, so I was learning
Hmm.
with everything. I could understand the newspaper. There's a way of the headlines it's not grammatically correct
Hmm.
usually because it's a way of talking. So I was into looking into these different types of talking in English where it's so flexible and people understand but me. So I started to read it in French
Hmm.
before, and then I read them in English. And I thought, okay, that's the New York Public Library I need to do to find an author where the language for me is a little obscure and there's a lot of repetition. So I use the stickers the way the library manages the libraries in general, their collections, is with stickers. Every book has also a sticker with a barcode, or is it
Right.
code
On the spine of the book. Yeah.
on the spine, and the way, it's like the scan it and all that.
Mhm.
So I thought that every line tells something about a book. And I thought about the letters, and I started to cut up these barcodes into pieces to hide some text in the book of
Mm,
folklore, because let's say he repeats the same word most of the time, the name of the character,
mhm.
again and again and again in the same sentence, which is most like a listening to a voice. It's like the voice inside of the head of the main character,
Mhm.
or the narrator. So I wanted to obliterate the person
Oh, okay.
in the book. So these little bars were cut off and over the letters of some pages. And to go with that, I shredded the magazine of the library, and I created a collage with those things where the content was again disrupted.
Uh-huh. That's fascinating. So speaking of shredding, you shred your own paintings, is that right?
It happens, yes. The paintings on paper, yeah, my
Right.
gouache paintings,
Gouache. Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
gouache on paper.
And
And
why?
uh, because they are not satisfying, but
Mm,
there's still something in it which is good. Um, and the shredder was a way to definitely not just destroy the piece, but keep it at bay, not go back to work on it. And sometimes it's very hard, it's hard to start a piece. It's hard to stop working on a piece.
hmm
And they become overworked. And I'm saying, no, enough. I'm going to fix enough. And the only way to stop it was to put it in a shredder and keep the remnants,
Ah, okay.
because there's some colors, some composition within a smaller piece which are gorgeous.
So I
And
have to ask about your shredder, though. I saw a video on your website where you're putting a piece through the shredder, and my shredder makes these tiny, tiny little pieces. Your shredder makes these beautiful strips.
they are because I have a cheap shredder. It doesn't really hide anything. Um, it's a larger one, and it doesn't really destroy all the documents like it should be.
Yeah.
Uh, but I'm interested in that, because even when it's like looking at clouds, we cannot stop seeing shapes.
hmm
If you look in the basket of the shredder, there's still words coming up, and I really like chance.
hmm
It's like the stickers I see among all these stickers, there's one word that's going to pop up. I'm
Yeah.
going to make a story out of it. And I had started by, before shredding my paintings, I shredded all my administrative documents.
Oh,
Um, Even if I was not making a living, a serious living, I had all this paperwork for taxes here.
right.
And with not much on it. So I say, okay, after 3 years, I can shred them. If I had a business, it would be 7 years.
Yeah.
So I shredded them, and I thought the result was fascinating, because I could still see numbers or my name coming up.
hmm
And I said, okay, so I could basically put it back together and see if I could find all the pieces. But no, that's insane and not very, creative. So I started to roll the pieces,
Oh.
and we roll the pieces in the loops and condense the surface of a letter
hmm
with gluing them back next to each other in the order of more or less of one page shredded. And
hmm
then it creates that beautiful tapestry-like texture of lines, greens. And we know these things. If I shred like security envelopes,
hmm
my junk mail, we know the patterns
Yes.
and we don't look at it. We
Yeah.
know the Verizon red. We know the who's that? Cornet blue.
Yes.
We know so and then they become something else, but it's right here. It's the junk around us.
Yeah.
Uh, Not just beautify, but it makes sense that here are my taxes. Everybody can, we talk about privacy and we don't have any,
No.
never,
No, we don't.
ever. So why not just show them? And who wants to really try to read through and what is it I'm hiding?
Yeah. Yeah. So I was looking through your artist statement, and one sentence just stood out to me, like it went like it beamed out at me. And it's only 3 words. I waste nothing. You're a person after my own heart, clearly.
Yes. Yeah.
So how does a sentence like that become a part of your artist statement?
Because well, it's almost a long story. Because
We have
when we work on, we artists, visual artists, we work on a project, it works, it doesn't work, but we use different things. I started with like the fruit stickers. I waste nothing. I don't waste my time. I'm still, feeding my kid and being in the kitchen, and we talk and we play, and I put the stickers, but on different pieces of paper, because it's not just random. There's
Mhm.
a real project if making one specific collage. So I don't waste time. I
Mhm.
don't waste material because it's whatever is going to go in a trash can anyway. So that's something right there.
Mhm.
And then for what I was doing oil painting, very abstract, and I was working on layering colors a lot. So I needed it to dry between layers, but I needed to keep the same mix of color to be able to go back later and
Mhm.
have the same mix. So I would take notes, but I would keep the paint also in a little bundle
Mhm.
wrapped in plastic, food plastic, the
Oh,
same thing
okay.
to keep it fresh. So I could just see it next. So I was not wasting the leftover of my oil paint, not because to save money about the oil paint, but to be able to find exactly the same color
Mhm.
when it's still wet, not
Oh.
dry. So I could go back and work on that. And
Mhm.
then some I never really reopened. I kept them in like they were like candy, little candy in a plastic wrap, and I started to use it as an object of my own collection, and I
Oh.
included it in some works.
Mhm. Oh, that's
So
fascinating.
that's why it's like it was nothing. But to go back to this old painting, I would have the leftover paint in plastic, and I would have also trying to not use corrosive how do you call it to clean up
Oh,
turpentine.
the turpentine.
Yeah,
Yes. Uh-huh.
I didn't want to use that. It's strong and all that. So I used a citrus mix,
Mhm.
and I would clean my brushes first by drying them on food on napkins, paper napkins, which I got when wherever you go get a coffee, they give you 10 napkins, whatever.
Yes.
There's always more and more and more. And so I would keep them as I have a bunch in my studio here. I'll show you because it's, you know, in less than a month, I have
Yeah, and
this
they're great
thing.
for blotting your brushes. Yeah.
Exactly. So, and then I mean, to me, they become something else.
Mhm.
So I was working on a piece and I didn't know, I was not happy with it. And at one point I cleaned the brushes and I kept the pieces of paper because I thought they were, I was looking for something more spontaneous. And when you clean your brush, you don't think about composing anything, right? So that's what I was interested in. So I started to keep them and to look at them and say, this is the painting I wanted to do, but obviously I didn't do it. So I recycled those papers, those paper rags, and I cut them up and I created a very large collage with them and stitched. And I started to cut them in different shapes to create patchwork. Because being also new to this country, I realized like how much the patchwork tradition is everyday activity for a lot of people.
Yeah, the quilting things are strong here. Yes.
Yeah, quilting, and then I started to be a little more like quilting, patchwork. Actually, technically, the patchwork is putting things together, and the quilting is putting the batting and coming
stitching
over.
it. Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Which
No,
I
I
do.
saw on your website that you had those napkins in the grid and it was stitched onto sheer fabric. Was that? Yeah. And did you stitch it by hand or organza? Did you stitch it by hand or by machine?
By hand.
Uh-huh. Oh. No, it was very ethereal, very beautiful.
Yeah, that's the idea. It's like it's like the waste. It's unconsidered. So I want to give it a body back to it, a form of body, but in its nature, paper is super light, especially paper napkins. And you peel off the layers, so you have transparencies, and it's nice, but it's fragile and not. So the idea of stitching paper or stitching plastic by hand is nonsense.
Yet we all do it, or so many of us do it.
Yeah, but depending on the type of plastic or type of paper, you get unexpected results. And when I do it by hand, I really wanted the piece to be seen from both sides. So the hand stitching is important.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want it to be too present on the back.
That's interesting. So if you don't mind, we can segue into your plastic series. I love that you called it It's Fantastic. I think I know why, but can you tell me?
First of all, I called it a fantastic series, and within it, there's one piece I especially called It's Fantastic. I wrote a little poem about a very simple poem about how I want to have a sense of humor about plastic because the situation is so desperate.
Yeah.
And all of us know about it. And there's not much we can really do. Even recycling is a lure.
Yeah.
It's not really happening. So plastic is fantastic. That's it, because it's really fantastic material. I think, oops, my screen disappeared, sorry. I think it's an amazing invention by humans. The technology of it is amazing. It's plastic. Why it is called plastic? Because it comes from the Latin name of plasticity, which is changes form.
Yes.
Heat and different processes. So it's easy, and that's fantastic. And it costs nothing, almost nothing.
Yeah.
Right, to produce. But we don't use it properly. That's the problem. It's not the material itself, which is a problem.
Yes.
How will we do in the medical field without plastic?
Exactly.
But
Yeah.
we could not do it as well. So I'm not against plastic. I think it's incredibly beautiful. We found colors, transparency. You can change it in all sorts of shapes. Yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah, it is. Um, how did you get started working with plastic? Like how did you make that discovery of material, so to speak?
Um, that that goes back to childhood, really. I would collect um, small plastic objects, and I would say, okay, in the 60s, um, and plastic was there already, but
Mhm.
not as much as now. So
Right.
some objects in plastic, like the like a toothpaste tube, right?
Hmm.
Used to have a little ring before you put, so to protect the top, the cap to go all the way through and make it, like you have to do to open the tube.
Yes.
Now they don't bother to do that anymore. They put another safety thing.
Hmm.
But those little rings were like, for me, finding a crystal pearl or a shiny shell, they were amazing. So I collected it and I would do collage with it,
Mm.
or make them, the smaller ones, I would use them for a bracelet for my Barbie dolls.
Yeah.
Um, and for with the Barbie dolls, I didn't really play with them. I really made things for them.
Hmm.
So I created everything in objects for them.
Oh, wow.
Lampshade, cup, whatever they needed. It was more interesting to create their environment.
Oh, that's interesting. So not the clothing even, but the environment.
No, yeah, it was more the environment. Yeah.
So
And I also,
go
I'm
ahead.
sorry to interrupt. I was fascinated by styrofoam.
Oh.
And because I didn't know exactly why at the time, but now I know it's like a negative space.
Mm.
It's around a shape, and I used it. I remember one summer I was especially bored, and I used one of these styrofoam piece. I don't know what was in there to start with, and I used it as I made an hospital for bugs. Um, so if I would found an injured snail with a cracked shell. I
Uh-huh.
would take the snail, put it in a little later in a corner of that styrofoam box, and I put a band-aid on the cracked shell. And
Aw.
I found like any animal, and of course I don't know why they all escaped. Everything was set up in that styrofoam container.
Oh,
There are,
that's so sweet.
cushions and stuff. So it was, I mean, it's an amazing thing. If I was a child now, I would make a spaceship out of it. It's not we. It's what you can project in a piece of trash.
Yeah. 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 It's amazing how a piece of trash can be transformed. Yeah. So back to your fantastic series, if you don't mind. I'm actually gonna pull it up here because I want to peek at it. And I will include the links to all of this um, in the show notes. But so I love that you used plastic shopping bags and
Yes.
you put embroidery hoops on them and then you embroidered within the hoop and then you stitched it all together and it was became this highly graphic yet really delicate floaty piece. How do pieces like that come about?
Oh, that one took a long time to be finalized, and it went through different stages. I wanted to show the fact that plastic, it doesn't disappear, and I wanted to talk about flying plastic in the trees, getting caught in the trees in nature and stuff like that. So I wanted it to hang and to flow
Hmm.
and to make I said, but why? What's okay, using plastic is one thing, but it's you can make beautiful things with it, or you can try to make a message out of it,
Hmm.
think about it. So the stitching on it, as you know, if you do it, you do work and you stitch, but you do machine stitch.
I do both hand and machine stitching, but
Okay.
yes. Yeah.
But if you don't have a backing, sometimes it's super hard to do. So I said, that's what I want because it's so tedious I did the cross stitch on plastic. And to do cross stitch in broderie, you need a special fabric
Yes.
where, right. So impossible to do that. So I created my alphabet like if it was cross stitched.
Oh,
And
okay.
I use it as a template. And
Oh,
I
I see.
went through and I recreated the cross stitch, which was super long. And I had written that poem, and I said, I need to say, like the bags with thank you, the smiley face, and all that. Say this, they all say something. Or the bags say the name of a brand, and they all say, be careful, safety, blah blah blah. Don't put it over the child's head, things
Yes.
like that. I'm like, well. Now they say, use me again, or things like that. I'm like, no, I want to say something more. So I stitched that poem on each piece. And to stitch that, I needed hoops.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought I was at the end part of that was anchoring the piece. And they were actually independently floating. And I realized, oh, if I want that to happen, I need to stitch both sides. I have to say the
Oh,
same message. And that was impossible. So I mounted on a very clear mesh,
uh-huh.
uh, plastic mesh, to make it a permanent. So it's floating, but it's not floating. And that,
Gotcha.
yeah, but it took me a long time to find how I would actually do it to make sense.
Mm-hmm.
I have sketches and stuff, and even choosing the text. And I know a lot of people have been stitching on plastic, but it's not exactly what I wanted to do. I really wanted to talk about the labor, the
Okay.
intensity of traditional technique
Mm-hmm.
that some people do, but they would do. Nobody does lace anymore. Nobody does. If we do end embroidery, it's already pre-made,
Mm-hmm.
pre um, printed,
Right.
so you fill in. It's like a coloring book. I'm saying no, no. I want to go back to the technique itself or doing the cross stitching. And a lot of people ask me if I'm a textile artist, and I say no, but I just need to learn the technique for what I want to say.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's fascinating. But you like along after you did the plastic bags, or maybe this was before, I don't know the order you did things in, but you also have these beautiful hangings with that you did with plastic mesh.
Right. That all comes together.
Yeah.
Because it's I work on many different pieces at the same time,
Okay.
because it's tedious, it's boring sometimes, most of the time, to do, to treat the material, to be able to do the piece. And these pieces are like 10 feet by 10 feet, so
Oh, they're that large. I didn't even realize that. Wow.
it takes time. So I have different works out and I switch. So they are more or less done at the same time. But the idea of the floating plastic in nature, in the trees, and I have to go back a little bit.
Okay.
First of all, the plastic pieces I made were just to be featured in videos I made.
Oh,
Uh,
because I was going to ask you about your plastic quilt and the performance piece and video with that. Is that where everything started?
Somehow I thought, first of all, I was told many years ago that my plastic collages with the food stickers would never be, I was rejected by quite a famous art dealer who does collage only. He told me, we cannot do that because it's not archival.
Mm.
And I'm like, okay, it's not archival. And I thinking, okay, it's not archival, but it's going to live much longer than us.
Yes.
but it's not archival. So,
Uh-huh.
okay. So I the idea of that doing things in plastic was not going to have any value in terms of art piece, it's an artifact. So they
Hmm.
became more like the characters of my videos. So I did
Oh.
that very large quilt.
Hmm.
It's yeah, a quilt. Um, and it's all stitched on different plastic bags, opened and put together. And then I cut pieces of different colors and I faked a, a quilting pattern.
Right. Yeah. No, they
Um,
look like quilting blocks all stitched
right.
together. Yeah.
And they because I try to follow a grid. And then I said, okay, I need that piece to be that big. And then I put it in different scenarios.
Hmm.
And once the video was done, I kept the piece and I didn't look at it for a while. And then I realized much later on that it was a nice piece. There was something. So I went back to it and I did more handwork to give it value
Okay.
to make it really like the stitching becomes part of the object. That's
Hmm.
when I think really not just the idea, but we need sometimes to push. We need to find the right technique for to express the right idea
Hmm.
with the right material, and that was only that extra handwork um, on that piece, which was good. And I would do it with machine stitching for other pieces.
Hmm.
So it really depends on the object itself, the piece itself. And so the plastic mesh, it was almost, that really is something which really hurts me, all this fruit and produce mesh, because if you cut them, they bleed microplastic right
Yes.
away. It's
Yeah.
all over the place. And
Yep.
to be able to get rid of it, people just wash it in water
Yeah.
and it goes in the water.
Just down
So
the
it's
drain. Yep.
really, it, it's impossible to deal with it,
Hmm.
really. So I just transform them in very large pieces to make it like I'm working on I need volunteers to help me stitch those because there's so much time. I need to make enough to create an environment where it will be an installation where we are within nets, like
Oh,
fish
wow.
in nets, like that. And they are all different texture of mesh,
Hmm.
therefore different techniques for mounting them together and things like that. And it's a whole, it's very specific for each of them, depending on the material itself.
So is that an installation you're working on now?
Yes,
Oh,
yeah.
that's fascinating. Do you have a location already for it and do you know where it's going to be?
Oh,
No.
no, any ideas are welcome. Yeah, no, it's and it's very hard to also to talk to show it because I don't have a big white wall. I don't have a big studio, so I cannot
Mhm.
even install it the way I want to install it to show what it would be because I want to work on the transparency of the
Yeah.
plastic and the
Yeah.
mesh. It's see-through.
Right. Are you stitching it by machine or by hand?
Some is by machine,
Hmm.
depending on the type of nets. There's nets where they are weaved, and those are crazy. So
Hmm.
machine is impossible. And the others are it's a mold.
Right. They're
And
stamped, right? I think
yeah,
that's what
that's
it is. Yeah.
stamped. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
exactly. So
Yeah.
that could be machine stitch.
Hmm.
But then you have different tensions.
Yes.
And is not a it is technically challenging, but some good things can come out of it.
Right. Oh, that's
But
fascinating.
I'm working on when I want the stitching to be almost invisible because I really want to have the material come through and like um I want the beauty of it,
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
beauty of it, and at the same time feel trapped. I don't
Hmm.
want to hide the material.
Yeah. No, I love that. Wow. So, okay. So to take back, so to that plastic quilt and the video that you made with it, were you trained in performance art, or how did the whole performance thing come about?
No, no training. No training, but it's storytelling.
Mm.
So and it's also low budget. Uh, so I'm the character, I'm going around and I don't especially show my face. It's just somebody is going around with that thing
Mhm.
and different scenarios. And it's filmed with my iPhone on the little pedestal. And it's been filmed the same day, basically. And
Mhm.
then it took a long time to do the editing and put it
Right.
back together and have a coherent story. Um, and the other videos I made after that were just like noticing the sound of that big piece, first piece I made in the wind because I was outside, and I really loved that.
Yeah, it's really
So I made
specific sound.
very specific. So I made a video out of it, very short video out of it, and then so on like that. And then ideas about the plastic caps on the beach.
Mhm.
This is Siren. So I did this. I also again I film myself where I don't appear in the video. A very low budget setting and see what happens. But I always have a story behind.
Mhm.
Um, and you have to see. I don't want to talk too much about it because I would reveal the surprise. And I
Right.
add things. I add text.
Yeah.
Again, I added my the poem I wrote,
Mhm.
which is not a glorious poem, but it's like I wanted some, I don't know how to say that. I wanted the words beyond just saying plastic is bad.
Mhm.
No, plastic is beautiful.
Mhm.
Plastic is beautiful. It's ingenious. But it's everywhere. And just like we all know that, but it's good to remind us that it's not just everywhere, but that it is beautiful, and we should think about it as precious.
Mm. Yeah,
And
perhaps if we thought about it as precious, it wouldn't be flapping in the trees and tossed into the trash.
exactly on the intestine of some animals and
Yeah.
ourselves.
Yep.
So yeah, that's
Yeah.
the
Oh.
thing. And so those stories, first of all, because first of all, I don't want to show the pieces themselves. Some of them I could not salvage.
Mm.
Uh, because I put some in the waters, in
Yeah.
streams and stuff like that. So that was impossible to salvage. And there was nothing to salvage really, just to
Yeah.
recycle the plastic. So I don't have these pieces and they are not interesting by themselves.
Mhm.
But what they do in the movie is what I'm interested in.
Yeah. No, they're fascinating. Do you do all the editing yourself?
I not the first two ones.
Mhm.
And then I learned the same thing like stitching. I learned the technique
Yeah.
for,
Yeah.
and then I forget right away. And I just, so when I have another idea for a movie later on, say, how did I do that? I don't remember. And so, yeah,
You figure it out again. Yeah.
yeah, it takes time.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's fascinating. All right. I know we're coming towards the end of our time together, but I have to ask you about dressing up Eleanor Roosevelt.
Oh, okay. Okay, so she was our first lady, and she is the one who created public libraries, if I recall well. And it's not that there are a lot of sculptures of women. All the public sculptures are mostly men.
Mhm.
Now things are changing a little bit, but there's a lot of controversies. Um, so she is not very far from where I live, and I would go there with my daughter and playground and so on. And my daughter would ask me, who is that woman? Very tall woman. Sculpture is gorgeous. It's really nice sculpture. And I've been I'm still working on this. There's no art series that can say it's really finished.
Yeah.
So I make these giant necklaces. They're at least 16 feet long, not open, just, just hang it, circle. It's with different things, and they tell a story. And I go out, especially very early in the morning, and I put them on sculptures. And I take photos, or I do these little videos to like an homage,
Homage.
homage to certain people,
Hmm.
and the necklace becomes alive. The piece becomes alive because somebody is wearing it,
Hmm.
and it's a goddess. It's a necklace for a necklace for a goddess.
I love
So
that.
it has to be big. And Eleanor Roosevelt I dressed her up with a necklace made with the metallic tags of the Metropolitan Museum
Yes,
when
I saw that, but they don't have that anymore. So you
they
can't repeat
don't.
that necklace. Ah.
So they don't have that anymore. And again, when they had the tags, people would collect them
Hmm.
or put them somewhere or do things with them because it was a very interesting object.
Yeah, I have a whole bunch myself.
Yeah, they are irresistible.
Yeah.
So I did a lot of collage with them. I
Hmm.
would use it like the fruit stickers. It's the color of the
Hmm.
year, the day, or that. They mean something, but once you are outside the museum, they don't mean anything
Yes.
because today you don't know what color it's going to be. Now you have a sticker and with a date on it, it's totally different. Um, so they were like a palette.
Hmm.
And one day I said, no, I need to do a very large necklace for Eleanor. She was going to be my goddess of the day. And she wears it. And I made a larger one, found a larger tag from another museum, and I painted the M like the M of the Metropolitan,
Oh,
like
okay.
Leonardo Vinci, the you know, the man of
Oh,
Leonardo
yes.
Vinci, wears on the cross and everything in is a square, and there's all the circle.
Is
It's
it
all the geometry.
Vitruvian Man? Is that Vitruvian Man or something like that? Is that what it's called?
I don't know the name. Don't ask me. It's English. So I used that, and I made instead of just the Met, I put ME. So it's called Me as a Goddess. If I
Ah.
was goddess,
Hmm.
I would be that ship. I would be goddess of art. I would be the goddess of the Metropolitan Museum. But since I'm not a goddess, I had to find a sculpture to do that. And I literally climbed on the sculpture very early in the morning to put the necklace on her. And I was filmed when I did that. And I was took pictures, but I was more interested into the sculpture wearing the necklace and if people notice anything or not.
Oh, so how long did the necklace stay?
Just couple of hours,
Uh-huh.
not too long because it's totally illegal.
Right. You don't want to get into
Uh,
trouble.
that's right. Even if I don't damage anything, it's illegal.
Yeah.
So it would not stay long. And usually the sculptures all have a plaque or information about it. And it's only when I did that on a sculpture of the dog Balto in Central Park West.
Hmm.
Um, it's toward the west side of the park. Uh, and people start to look, what is it? Only the kids and the parents know who Balto is, but
Yeah.
after that you forget. And so people start to look, and the sculpture is alive again. The person who is made in honor
Yes.
to the person is alive again, and that's what I like about it.
That's the beauty of it. Oh, wow. That's so fascinating. Wow. So, out of all of those materials that you work with, do you have a favorite?
No,
Nope. All
it's
equal.
definitely not plastic because it's very hard material to work with, very hard.
Yeah.
but it's fun, but it's hard, and I've been also using heat, and it's dangerous. I mean,
Yeah,
the
that's not
fumes
good.
and all that, so it's not. So no, but I like to go back to drawing and painting a little bit.
Hmm.
But I have to finish some series, and these days I'm a lot into embroidery
Uh,
and stitching, and so once I have enough pieces in one series, so that makes sense,
hmm.
go back to I can go back to something else.
Gotcha. Gotcha. So I had a curiosity. How do you think an artist can make the most impact?
Hmm. That question again and again. Impact on what?
So let's say impact on our society, on our issues with climate change.
Climate change. uh, Honestly, as an artist, you have to do both two things. You have to be an activist at home. You have to be careful about what you consume.
Mhm.
And your art might make others think, oh, she uses that. Maybe if I ask them to collect for me, then it doesn't go to the landfill or things like that. They think about it differently. But if I have the chance to be in a show, in an art show, where there are enough people to go, then I might make an impact.
Mhm.
Um, but most of us, the artists who work on this material, we use the word awareness.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, we are beyond awareness. Everybody is aware of the disaster of the environment. And it's a political choice.
Yeah.
So I can keep doing that, those works, knowing that I want to work. That's why I want to work on the beauty, on a beautiful aspect of the material, because I also want to leave a good memory of it.
Mm.
If I go to on the beach, I always carry extra plastic bag because I clean up the beach,
Yeah.
not just to collect. So that's where I use my artist persona or energy to not be the crazy, look like the crazy person who pick up the trash, But you have to go through that.
Yeah.
That's I think as an artist we can. I mean, how many of us work with plastic or of repurposed material?
So
Every
many. So many.
so many. Yeah, because it's right there and it's free
Yeah.
also.
Exactly. Yeah.
So you can use it as it's as they say, it's not archival, but it survives us.
It's gonna outlast us all, as a matter of fact.
Yes, for hundreds of years.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know really as an artist, yeah, the to use not just the beautiful aspect, but something ingenious about it. How
Mhm.
do you assemble it, to make it different?
Yeah.
Because if it's just plastic or just paper, the art of collage, paper collage, is also how you do it, what you say,
Mhm.
what to salvage. It's a memory, it's a testimony of certain graphics of the time, things like that. So I don't think that as artists we have a real impact
Mhm.
to change the world. But being artists, we can just maybe more daring to talk about it
Mhm.
and encourage people to think twice or engage with people, kids in schools. That at the beginning of my fantastic series was like I wanted to do workshops in schools. I wanted to show the videos to kids
Yes.
because I think that starts at a very early age.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And and that's why I make these situations in the videos where it's kind of funny, make fun of myself, or it's a little dramatic, but there's something awkward.
Yeah.
Because we should just laugh about it, laugh about ourselves, and because we laugh, it should not be. I don't want to point at anybody. This is your fault.
Right.
I want people to look twice at their whatever they consumed. Oh, could I keep that? Oh, should I buy that? Less wrapping, more wrapping. Oh, this is really beautiful. Maybe I should keep it and give it to Pauline. You know. So when you buy something, I want people to acknowledge there's a wrapping.
Yes. To think
If you
about it.
buy vegetable and some come all wrapped in plastic, why? You know, pre-cut vegetable, we know if it's pre-cut, they lost all their vitamins because it's open to the air.
Yeah.
So, but it's pre-cut, so we don't have to.
So we don't have to work so hard in the kitchen.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah. No.
But I would like to ask you that question.
Uh,
I really want to know your opinion because you work with those materials too.
yeah. Yeah. I think I have to agree with you in that if we are to make an impact, the impact is making someone think about what they're purchasing, or at least notice what they're doing, what they're purchasing, what they're buying, what it's wrapped in, or what they're throwing away. I think if we can make people notice those things, then there's a possibility of someone changing their habits, because that's what they are. They're habits. We're so used to.
It's a convenience.
Yeah.
So that's why I like to put a lot of hard work in the pieces in opposition to convenience.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's my only recipe, and I'm not sure it works. But as you know, it's very hard to sell works made out of plastic because a lot of people say, oh, it's just plastic, you know. I can do that myself. And I was also working for galleries at art fairs and stuff like that. And my work was on the wall, but I didn't tell people it was my work. And I could hear the comments about why, you know, plastic or whatever. And people would say, oh, I can do that. And I say, yeah, you should do that. You should do it yourself because why not? You don't have to buy the
Materials
piece.
are right there.
It's right there. So they would look at me like, okay, it's not just the material.
Yeah.
That's where an artist come. And if somebody really understands the piece, they'll buy it. But first of all, plastic is not very popular in terms of it for the market, unless you have a big name and you know, you can sell anything.
Yeah. Yeah. Fascinating. Wow. Well, thank you so much for this conversation, Pauline.
Thank you, Natalia. It's really fun. We should keep talking about it offline.
Yes. Well, we'll definitely talk about it offline.
Okay. Thank you.
That was such a lovely conversation. Thank you for being here for it. Please rate and review and leave a comment and share this podcast with anyone that you think might find it interesting. I really appreciate it all. Thank you. This podcast was created, produced, and edited by me, Natalia Korover. Theme music by R.C. Gaida. To find out more about me, go to artbynatalia.com. To find out about my community, go to repurposercollective.com. And to learn with me, check out all my offerings at ecoloop.art. Thank you for listening.